I know all of you are happy to be here in person for a change, so thanks for coming out here to MLVS, which is basically the city hall for the Latino community. Here, the Latino Task Force, along with a number of neighborhood organizations, have come together to not only hand out food, but they have been our resource to connect with testing, with PPE, and with so many other resources to the Latino community. And the reason why it's so important that we have community involvement is because we have seen disproportionately that over 50% of the cases in San Francisco are folks of Latino descent. And we know that that is a real problem. So disproportionately, this community is impacted. And so it means that we have to do a better job as a city on testing, on contact tracing, on resources, on things that will help change that outcome. And so today, we're here to just talk about, a big announcement of PPE that we've received, but also to just appreciate the Latino Task Force and the work that they've done on a regular basis to pass out food to the residents of this community 3 times a week at this location. They have been consistent, they have been great partners with us, and they've helped to coordinate the testing operation and contact tracing. In addition, helping to educate the community on the resources that are available, because we know that unfortunately we have a large immigrant population that is unable to qualify for unemployment. And so we have resources so that people can feel comfortable with testing and knowing that the city, through our program, will help pay their wages so they're not out of their income. And in fact, we've been able to help people with rent subsidies. The Give to SF fund that we've been able to release money for to help cover rent subsidies, about 75% of the people that we've supported to help pay rent have been from the Latino community. We know that it's a wholehearted approach. And finally today, I'd like to just talk about why today is so important. Because as I say over and over again, as it relates to COVID, we're living with it. So it's time for us to get adjusted. It's time for us to get adjusted with our masks, with our shields, with our hand sanitizer, with our hand washing, with our distancing. I know it's hard because we've been doing it for so long and we're like, we just want to be around people. We just want to see each other. And we want our businesses to open. We want our businesses to thrive. And the fact is, our businesses are struggling. They're struggling because a lot of them aren't even open yet. But when they are open, they are not doing the level of business that they used to, and they can't afford sometimes the additional equipment and the support and all the things that they need to provide for their staff and their customers. And so today, as a result of the PPE we just received from the state, and I want to thank Governor Newsom for always keeping San Francisco at the forefront of the decisions that get made. We received over 1 million pieces of PPE. And we have today masks, we have shields, we have hand sanitizer, and we're passing them out directly to small businesses, at least a 30-day supply to support our small business community in San Francisco. This is just one of the many things we have to continue to do to help small businesses, to specifically help the Latino community, to make sure that we change the disparities that exist in order to adapt to what our new normal is, at least until there's a vaccine. So I want to thank all of you for coming here today. And we have John is here from the Latino Task Force. This community, John and Valerie and Roberto Hernandez and others, they are on the front lines every single day making sure this community is taken care of. And so I wanted to give John an opportunity to introduce himself and talk a little bit about how the Latino Task Force and the work they've done has played a role in helping to address what we know are very challenging times for our Latino and our immigrant population here in the Mission.
Good afternoon or good morning. I'd like to start by thanking Mayor Breed and her administration for coming out and being with us here today. I think as she mentioned, the COVID crisis, this pandemic, is hitting the Latino community particularly hard. We know a few things from some of the studies and the work that we've done through the Latino Task Force in our partnership with UCSF, that 93% of people that tested positive in our study in April were from the Latino community. We know that 88% of them make under $55,000 a year. And we know that 90% of them said they did not have the privilege to shelter in place, meaning they have to work from home. They cannot work from home. They have to actually go to work. So the step that we see today with this PPE and this distribution through this partnership is allowing us to help protect those same essential workers that are providing services to all of San Francisco to keep this city running. And so it's a big step and it's a good step. But I really do want to highlight the work of the Latino Task Force in partnership with the city in being able to not only provide the PPE, but help provide testing to the Latino community that needs it most, in addition to all of the great things that you see happening here at Mission Language Vocational School, the Latino Task Force Resource Hub. We're distributing 7,000 boxes of food to families each week, families that are struggling to survive and trying to make it. We are providing testing to families every Thursday. If they want to show up and get low barrier testing, we're providing that resource to them. And all of these are small things that are done by a volunteer army of people who love this city and love the community. And so I really do want to thank the city and the mayor for their partnership and providing this help to a community that needs it most. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, John. And we want to thank the community because, as you can see, all of these folks here, they are dedicated to this work, and we are so grateful for their service to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to receive support and PPE and testing and so on and so forth. And now at this time, I want to ask Dr. Grant Colfax, is he going to make some remarks today? Yeah. So Dr. Grant Colfax, who's the director of the Department of Public Health, is here. And so he's going to just talk a little bit about some of the challenges. Again, I know people are very anxious to get back to opening up some more businesses, and we will get there. We have a big announcement tomorrow. But in the meantime, Dr. Colfax, you want to provide an update?
Thank you, Mayor Breed, and I'm Grant Colfax, Director of Health for the City and County of San Francisco, and I really want to express my gratitude and thanks for the work that is being done here every day on the front lines. We've known since the beginning of the epidemic, and Mayor Breed has spoken since the beginning of the epidemic, that unfortunately the inequities that we continue to see existing among the Latino communities. And as a health department and as a city, we are addressing this issue. We need to do more, and we are doing better. We've made improvements, particularly around our testing investments. With Mayor Breed's leadership, we've increased our testing in this neighborhood and other neighborhoods with a high prevalence of COVID-19. We are now have a capacity to do pop-up tests for 500 new tests a day each day, and that's occurring here on Thursdays, and will be occurring more regularly in this neighborhood going forward. Our investments in the health department for this new budget year, Mayor Breed's budget, invest over $270 million in our COVID-19 response. And my commitment as a director is to ensure that resources are more proportionally distributed to address the inequities in the Latinx community, in the Latino community. We're expanding our contact tracing and case investigation, but we also know that we need to improve our wraparound services for people. It's not just about testing, that's certainly a key part. It's not just about the cases and contact tracing, but it's about the food insecurity, it's about the financial needs, it's about the housing needs, it's for people to be able to have isolation and quarantine. And it's not just about that individual, it's about the family and it's about the community. So as we go forward into this stage of, as the mayor was saying, COVID-19 will be here for some time, we need to ensure we're taking a holistic, integrative, collaborative approach. And my commitment to the task force and to the community here is that the health department will be on the front lines working in partnership to ensure that we succeed in this unprecedented time. Thank you.
Maybe just a couple minutes for questions real quick.
All right, we'll take some questions. Yes.
One two-part question from a reporter who's back in the office. It's about businesses. Some of the 6 counties have barber shops and salons open again. When do you think that might happen for San Francisco?
So we're going to have an announcement tomorrow that provides some guidance as to when that might happen. But in the meantime, we do allow, effective tomorrow, outdoor hair salons and barbershop. And let me just be clear, you know, as someone who goes to a hair salon, I know you can't do an outdoor wash and blow dry. You know, like it's not possible, right? So as soon as we have the information tomorrow, we'll have a better guidance. as to when the specifics of when that will happen so that we can give people more assurance. But I want to be clear that we are still living in COVID. So you remember about a month ago, I made one announcement that we were going to open, and then the next day I had to pull back. It was like one of the worst days of my life to have to go out there and tell businesses one thing and then tell them something else, because I know financially what that means to their livelihood. So we'll make an announcement about that tomorrow, even though outdoor hair and nail stuff can happen, and we'll have a better clarity as to the future and when we will be able to use indoor and what that would mean sooner. We'll have some more information tomorrow.
And along those lines, for those folks that do not have anywhere outside to conduct business, what do you tell them?
Well, right now, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. We have to focus on really reducing the spread. And that's why when we talk about being in this together, like we really are, what you do impacts me. What I do impacts you. If I'm being irresponsible in my behavior and then I contract COVID and then I'm spreading it all over the place, it makes it impossible for these businesses that need to open, that are struggling, that have been closed for 6 months with no income whatsoever. It will be impossible for them to open. So I get it, and I know that it's not probably what they want to hear, but I have to deal with reality of the situation, and this is where we are at this time.
Thank you.
All right, we're good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Take care.